Mwah! Mwah, maestro. Mwah!
Hey everybody, it's Hannah Saulic, the head of video here at CinemaBlend, with Sean O'Connell, our managing editor, and we're here to talk about some breaking DC news from a chat, Sean, that you just had with Jason Momoa that I'm a little bit in the dark about. So I'm going to throw it over to you to tell us what's going on.
Yeah, we had to legitimately jump on and record this immediately because Momoa cleared up a couple of things that DC fans and specifically Snyder fans have been inquiring about. So, okay, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit, Hannah.
I'm full in.
So within the span of 2 days, Jason Momoa was doing some press for Slumberland, this new movie that he has coming to Netflix, and he was asked by a journalist about the new regime change and James Gunn coming in and Peter Safran coming in and taking over DC. And Momoa says,
I think with Peter Safran and Mr. Gunn at the helm now of DC, I'm very excited about that. There's a lot of cool things going to be coming up. And one of my dreams come true will be happening under their watch.
Right around the same time on his Instagram story, because Momoa is great at teasing stuff and using social media to his advantage, he records this video on November 6th and he says,
All right, this needs to be documented. What's the date today? 6th. The 6th of November. The greatest news, some of the greatest news in my life just happened. I can't say anything about it. Fuck yes! Oh! I can't wait to share with you, but they won't let me share anything. I want you to remember this date, November 6th. Mwah! You know who you are? Mwah! Mwah, maestro. Mwah!
So, of course, DC fans, and specifically Snyder fans, hit social media and start to connect the dots that the maestro that he's talking about in the Instagram story is potentially Zack Snyder, and that maybe Zack Snyder is part of this dream DC project, which makes sense. Like in the grand scheme, if you're trying to put pieces together and figure out what Momoa is talking about, he has referred to Zack in a form like that before. There is a clip of Ezra Miller calling Zack Snyder the maestro. And the way that they think of Zack as a director on set, you could totally understand why he would make those connections. So I got a chance to sit down with Momoa minutes ago, legitimately, for Slumberland. And when we got to the end of the thing, I said, you can't. Oh, and I want to let everybody know, we're going to have the video. We don't have it yet. We just want to get this video put together and post it as quickly as it can. So we'll have it up on the YouTube channel in some other format when I'm able to get it back from Netflix. But I said, you brought up this project on November 6th on your Instagram video and how excited you were to do it. And you were also talking about your dream DC project. And then he cut me off there and he said, quote, "Those two have no relation. It was 2 days of amazing news. That one is like beyond. That one trumps the DC news." So he's clearly talking about two different projects here. One that he's extremely excited about to work with some maestro, and one that is the dream DC project. Those two, as he says, are completely unrelated. So I pushed him a little bit further. And I said, oh, okay, people are jumping to the conclusion that you were talking about the same thing. I said, does that mean that the maestro that you're referring to is not Zack Snyder? Because people really want to hear that Zack is coming back to DC and maybe working with Momoa. And he says, no. You have to dig deeper. He's talking about the project that he's doing. He says, it's the Holy Grail. And it's different than the DC thing. I can't really say anything. That's it, he says. But he clarifies for sure. The maestro that he's talking about is not Zack Snyder, and the project that he's freaking out about on November 6th is not the DC Dream project. They are two separate things.
Interesting. Okay, so do you have any, what do you think the DC project is? Do you have any ideas?
I mean, the project that everybody keeps talking about is Lobo, which is a character that they've kind of connected him with. I think it would be highly unusual for him to play two different characters in the DC universe, unless they figured out a way to do Lobo so that it doesn't look like exactly like Momoa, like whether it's some kind of a motion capture thing.
Oh, interesting.
If it's not just Momoa being both Aquaman and Lobo at the same time. Because I can't
you're not like, oh, they're twins.
Yeah, right, exactly. Outside of that, I don't really know what his dream DC project could be. He's been part of a Justice League film at this point. if he's just making another Aquaman project, that wouldn't be saying that like my dream DC project is going to come together. And it's a little bit deflating, honestly, to hear that, you know, that it isn't connected with Zack somehow. Because I honestly did believe when he was hinting at the Maestro that he was
like hinting at like a Justice League 2.
Yeah, for sure. And that maybe, you know, his dream DC project was continuing Zack's vision, you know, that 5-arc story that he wanted to tell.
So do you think that that's completely off the table, or do you think that that just happened to not be what he was discussing in these two instances?
Anytime that I say that it's completely off the table, I get crucified. So I will continue to say that it seems like Zack is really happy over at Netflix, doing a mix of the Army of the Dead properties and Rebel Moon. But it sounds like Jason's not leaving DC anytime soon. Obviously, we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom still to come out. And if he's going to be able to do a dream DC project after that, then yeah, I mean, we're going to have to figure out what it's going to be. But
it's got to be Lobo. I mean, like, because he's said in interviews, I think like back when he first got Aquaman, that like if he could play anybody else, it would be Lobo. And then James Gunn recently tweeted when he was announcing that he started a Mastodon account or whatever, it was an image of Lobo. And I think that was like same day, a day later when the Jason Momoa clip came out.
Okay.
So James Gunn is teasing that. Jason Momoa has talked about that. He's been fan cast as Lobo forever. And I think your point of like, if they do some sort of mocap thing to make him not look like, oh, hey, it's Aquaman's twin, then that could be that could be exciting.
And like you said, because he's been connected to it. And so in any other situation, just to really pull in recent events, I would have said it's, you know, too weird for the same actor to play different characters inside of the franchise. But if anybody's watching Andor right now, Andy Serkis is coming in for a 3-episode arc as a completely different, he's Kino Loy, you know, and obviously he played Snoke, but when he played Snoke, he was doing it in motion capture and looked nothing like Andy Serkis, you know?
Exactly.
So there's a way for them to take Momoa's personality. And Hannah, I can't wait for you to see Slumberland. Like, Momoa is having the time of his life in this movie.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
Fun.
He's like doing a dark Willy Wonka type thing. Oh, it's wild.
Oh my gosh.
He is having so much fun, and it's worth seeing just for him. So what I'm saying is,
you're saying he could do the villain thing well.
Easily. But even you could, what I'm saying is you can kind of mocap him and his personality can still really shine through in a performance, whether it be whatever they need it to be for Lobo. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be just a mimic of what he's been doing as Aquaman this entire time.
Yeah. You could have Aquaman and Lobo in a scene together, but it's both Jason Momoa.
Dear Lord. But look at how Peacemaker took the concepts of the DC universe and kind of spun them. You know, like you got a joke about Aquaman having sex with fish at the end of Peacemaker. And that never would have flown in any of the other standard DC universe properties. And it proves to me that Momoa's up for, you know, these jokes that are aimed at him. So I'm putting my money on Lobo. I honestly am. And if it's not, then I'm dying to see what it is that is his dream DC project. But we're here to throw a little bit of cold water on the fact that it's not the exciting Maestro project that he discussed is not the DC related project. And he confirms that the Maestro that he talked about is not Zack Snyder. I'm sorry, guys.
My deepest apologies for disturbing you.
All right, we promised you guys we're going to be doing these DC videos on the regular, and we were going to talk about the air cut before all of this Momoa stuff happened. So Hannah, I'm sure that we're going to come back at some point and discuss the possibilities of the air cut reaching us in some way, shape, or form, and all the rest of the exciting DC news. So make sure you hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. And every single time that we post a new DC video here, you guys will be the first ones to come on over here and watch it with us.